Welcome to Film Recap Zone. Today, I am going to explain Fantastic Beasts. The Crimes of Grindelwald, 2018, is a Harry Potter spin-off prequel that takes place in 1927 in New York, London, and Paris. The film follows Albus Dumbledore and Newt Scamander as they try to stop the dark wizard Gellert Grindelwald from raising an army of pureblood wizards to rule over non-magical beings. Dear viewers, please feel free to leave your suggestions in the comment section if you would like to request a movie review. Subscribe to my channel for additional informative movie reviews. So watch and enjoy. New York, 1927. The notorious dark wizard Gellert Grindelwald is currently under the custody of the American Ministry of Magic. The transfer of Grindelwald to London is overseen by MACUSA President Serafina Piqueri, accompanied by her employee Abernathy. During the airborne journey in a carriage drawn by Thestrals, it becomes evident that Grindelwald and Abernathy have exchanged positions, revealing Abernathy's loyalty to Grindelwald. Abernathy floods the carriage with water while Grindelwald alters the Thestral's course. In the process, 2 guards are killed, while a 3rd, Spielman, survives the incident. Subsequently, Grindelwald sets off to locate the remainder of his supporters. London, Newt Scamander is preparing for a hearing with the British Ministry of Magic. During this time, he encounters Leta Lestrange, an old friend from Hogwarts who is engaged to Newt's brother, Theseus. Their relationship is somewhat strained. Newt attends the meeting to request the reinstatement of his right to travel following the incidents in New York where his magical creatures escaped, and the obscurial Credence Barebone caused chaos. Despite Newt's belief that Credence had perished, he learns that Credence is alive and has reappeared in Paris. Newt is offered the opportunity to regain his travel privileges on the condition that he collaborates with Theseus at the ministry to locate Credence, as they are aware that the dark wizard Grindelwald is seeking him to join his cause. However, Newt declines to work alongside his brother. The task is then assigned to an Auror named Grimson, who seems to harbor ulterior motives. Grindelwald and his followers convene in a private residence to strategize their mission to locate Credence. Adjacent to their meeting room, they encounter a young male toddler who is unable to fully grasp the situation. Grindelwald instructs one of his followers, Caro, to employ the killing curse on the toddler. Newt encounters a glove that gestures for him to be meeting on top of a nearby building. Following the glove's instructions, he is transported to a meeting with his former professor, the esteemed Albus Dumbledore. In a private conversation, Dumbledore entrusts Newt with the task of locating Credence in Paris, as he is believed to be either in peril or a threat to others. Additionally, Dumbledore provides Newt with a card containing the address of a safe house in Paris. Despite his initial hesitation, Newt is reminded by Dumbledore that he is the only one capable of undertaking this mission, as Dumbledore is unable to directly confront Grindelwald. Newt returns to his residence where his assistant, Buntai, displays injuries on her arm from handling his Kelpie, a large magical creature resembling a seahorse. Upon addressing the Kelpie and tending to baby nifflers, Newt is alerted by a commotion in his quarters. To his surprise, he discovers Jacob Kowalski and Queenie Goldstein, who have apparat from New York. Newt is astonished by Jacob's recollection of him despite being obliviated, which Jacob attributes to Queenie's explanations of past events. Newt is disheartened to learn that Tina is absent and has been romantically involved with another Auror due to a misunderstanding in a publication that falsely claimed Newt's engagement to Leta instead of Theseus. Newt soon realizes that Queenie has cast a love enchantment on Jacob, and after some reluctance, she allows Newt to dispel the spell. Although Jacob is slightly perturbed by the enchantment, he follows Queenie as she departs Newt's residence, where he expresses his existing love for her without the need for magic. However, their disagreement arises from the societal restrictions against relationships between magical and non-magical individuals. After Queenie reads Jacob's thoughts and perceives him as calling her irrational, she departs from him. Jacob then returns to Newt's side, and together they embark on a journey to Paris. In Paris, Credence is employed at a freak show managed by the harsh ringmaster Scamander. He forms a close bond with Nagini, a young woman afflicted with a condition known as maledictus, which causes her to transform into a snake until the transformation becomes permanent, ultimately becoming Voldemort's pet snake. Scamander stages a spectacle where Nagini demonstrates her shape-shifting abilities to the audience, including Tina. During the performance, Credence releases a group of small creatures that create a commotion with sparks, resulting in chaos within the tent. Seizing the opportunity, Credence escapes with Nagini, while Tina attempts to restore order. Scamander departs with all his belongings. Meanwhile, as Tina departs, she encounters Yusuf Kama, who also attended the show. Yusuf engages in a conversation with Tina, revealing his quest to locate Credence. He discloses to Tina that he is the final descendant of a pureblood lineage, a status shared by credibility. Grindelwald is aware of Credence's destination in search of his birth mother and intends to manipulate the boy to eliminate Dumbledore. Newt and Jacob utilize a portkey to travel to Paris, as it provides Newt with a discreet means of leaving the country. Upon arrival, Newt employs a spell to track Tina's recent movements in the vicinity, aiming to locate both her and Yusuf. Concurrently, Queenie is also present in Paris in search of Tina. Despite visiting the French Ministry of Magic for assistance, she is unable to obtain any leads. Meanwhile, Abernathy and another supporter of Grindelwald, Rosier, are present in the same location. While Queenie is positioned outside the building, she overhears Newt and Jacob passing by. In an attempt to follow them, she becomes overwhelmed upon hearing the thoughts of those around her. Subsequently, Rosier discovers Queenie and extends an invitation for her to join their group. Credence and Nagini arrive at the residence of Irma Dugard, whom Credence had believed to be his mother. However, it is revealed that she is actually the nurse who assisted in Credence's birth and inscribed her name on the official documents. Just as Irma embraces Credence, they are interrupted by the arrival of Grimsun. In a sudden turn of events, Grimsun unleashes a fatal blast that results in Irma's demise. This tragic event triggers Credence's transformation into his obscurial form, as he attempts to retaliate against Grimsun. Despite Grimsun's efforts to defend himself, Credence inflicts significant damage to the house. Subsequently, Credence and Nagini manage to escape. Grimsun proceeds to inform Grindelwald about the incident he witnessed. Newt and Jacob encounter Yusuf in the streets and inquire about Tina's whereabouts. Yusuf leads them to a cell where Tina is held captive, along with Newt and Jacob. Meanwhile, a Zowu, a large feline creature, roams freely outside. The trio eventually frees themselves, apprehends Yusuf, and devises a plan for Newt to entice the Zowu with a toy and safely contain it in his briefcase, alongside other magical creatures. At Hogwarts, the defense against the dark arts class taught by Dumbledore is disrupted by Torquil Travers from the British Ministry. Dumbledore instructs his students to leave with Professor McGonagall. Travers assigns Dumbledore the task of defeating Grindelwald. He is aware of the close relationship that once existed between the two, likening it to that of brothers, although Dumbledore asserts that their bond was even stronger. When Dumbledore expresses his reluctance to confront Grindelwald, Travers informs him that he can no longer continue teaching defense against the dark arts. Subsequently, Dumbledore encounters the Mirror of Ariste and envisions a younger version of himself and Grindelwald making an unbreakable vow. In this scene, we are introduced to Leta through a flashback to her time at Hogwarts. During her school days, she faced bullying from fellow students, leading her to retaliate by casting curses, such as causing a girl's mouth to disappear. Leta's only companion at Hogwarts was Newt, who would often take the blame for her actions. In a defense against the dark arts class with Dumbledore, students confront a boggart, a creature that manifests one's deepest fears. For Newt, the boggart transforms into a desk, symbolizing his fear of working in an office. However, for Leta, it takes the form of a white sheet concealing something ominous. Later, Newt shows Leta a tree inhabited by bowtruckles, magical creatures that have developed a bond of trust with him. In the present timeline, Dumbledore encounters Leta, who questions whether he views her in the same negative light as others. Dumbledore reassures her that he does not, prompting Leta to acknowledge him as the only one who sees her differently. Rosier escorts Queenie to the hideout, where she encounters Grindelwald. Despite Queenie's initial readiness to confront him, he engages her in a calm conversation, persuading her by appealing to her desire to love freely. Newt, Tina, and Jacob transport an unconscious Yusuf to his residence. Tina expresses a desire to interrogate Yusuf in hopes of uncovering information regarding Credence. Upon examining his eyes, they discover the presence of a parasite, which Newt and Tina successfully extract. Tina intends to report her findings to the Ministry, displaying lingering tension towards Newt for withholding details about himself and Leta. Newt clarifies the misunderstanding stemming from her previous observations. Suddenly, they observe dark drapes moving across the sky, signaling Grindelwald's call to his supporters. Subsequently, Newt and Tina devise a plan to visit the French Ministry to locate a box containing revelations about Credence, while Grindelwald seeks out Credence and Nagini in an attempt to sway them to his cause. Jacob finds himself alone in the residence, encountering the renowned alchemist Nicholas Flamel. Flamel presents Jacob with a crystal ball, revealing the locations of Credence and Queenie, informing Jacob that Queenie will be present at a cemetery in Paris. Flamel also notes the absence of Yusuf as Jacob prepares to depart. Subsequently, Flamel retrieves a book from his closet and communicates with a woman named Eulalie Hicks, expressing concerns about Grindelwald gathering his supporters at the cemetery and anticipating potential fatalities. Newt utilizes Polyjuice Potion to assume the identity of Theseus in order to gain access to the ministry. Upon entering the recording room, they share a moment where their mutual feelings are almost expressed. Theseus notices Newt and pursues him and Tina. While in hiding, they eavesdrop on Leta as she reads a note revealing that the Lestrange family records have been relocated to their family tomb. Leta discovers Newt and Tina, and the records keeper unleashes her Matagots after Leta attempts to defend herself. Newt summons the Zowu, which aids in their successful escape. Newt, Tina, and Leta encounter Credence, Nagini, and Yusuf. Yusuf discloses his quest for retribution against Credence, motivated by his mother Lorena's tragic history of being coerced by Corvus Lestrange Sr. under the Imperius Curse. Lorena was impregnated with a child before her untimely demise, and that child was Leta. Corvus Sr. later remarried and had another child, Corvus Jr., who Yusuf suspects Credence to be. However, Leta reveals that she was responsible for Corvus Jr.'s demise, having switched him with another baby on a sinking ship when they were children. This act led to Corvus Jr.'s drowning, an event that has haunted Leta with guilt ever since. As part of his strategy, the group proceeds to the cemetery where Grindelwald has assembled his supporters and arranged for Credence to approach him. Jacob encounters Queenie, who extends an invitation for him to observe Grindelwald's address. The malevolent sorcerer delivers a sermon on the superiority of wizards over non-magical individuals. He presents them with visions of the future depicting World War II to illustrate the shortcomings of the non-magical community and how they will lead their own world to destruction. Theseus leads the Ministry Aurors in an attempt to intervene, accompanied by Newt, Tina, Yusuf, Leta, Flamel, and Travers. Grindelwald's followers manage to escape, just as he casts a Protego Diabolica spell, unleashing a potent blue flame in the shape of a dragon across Paris. Numerous wizards perish in the blaze as the Aurors strive to contain it. Grindelwald calls for new adherents to join his cause. Despite Nagini's efforts to dissuade him, Credence opts to align himself with Grindelwald. Queenie also attempts to persuade Jacob to accompany her, but he is unable to comply and watches as Queenie departs with Grindelwald. Leta seemingly considers aligning with Grindelwald, but instead tries to assassinate him. Grindelwald ultimately incinerates her, much to the dismay of Newt and Theseus. Subsequently, Grindelwald disapparates with Credence and Queenie. The Aurors successfully contain the fire. Newt then consoles Theseus as they grieve for Leta. Newt retrieves a vial of blood stolen by his Niffler from Grindelwald and delivers it to Dumbledore at Hogwarts. This blood pact serves as the impediment preventing Dumbledore from directly confronting Grindelwald, constituting their unbreakable vow. Dumbledore hints to Newt the possibility of its destruction. Grindelwald relocates Credence and Queenie to a different hideout, where he discloses Credence's true identity as Aurelius Dumbledore, revealing him to be Albus Dumbledore's sibling. Grindelwald asserts to Credence that he is the only one capable of defeating Dumbledore. Subsequently, Credence demonstrates the potency of his abilities by unleashing a powerful blast on the side of a mountain. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.